Hello, I'm FX Toy Cat, and it's official, every feature in the winter drop is now finalized. This is how Mojang themselves put it in their new pre-release, today's update, and for the remainder of the 1.21.4 cycle, you will mostly see bug fixes and tweaks. Any new features that go beyond that will be added into the next update, which, by the way, just started its preview cycle for Minecraft Bedrock. That's right, we can see the first glimpse at the next update, including two big new features. The profanity filter will be able to be turned off, and also there is a new pause feature. This is insane, and that seems weird, but if you want to learn what Mojang are working on next, as well as what is happening to the most popular suggestions like the white pumpkins, and finally when this update will actually be releasing, I'll answer each of those questions in this video, as well as let you know what's going to be happening soon with Minecraft. If you do subscribe, you'll of course be able to see that as soon as they announce it, but they are going for a big series of announcements right now, especially to do with this winter drop, which by the way did just get a pre-release. And what does that really mean is probably the first big question, because as you can see they post this lovely house with some resin and some pale oak, but if you haven't followed many Minecraft update cycles, that doesn't mean a lot. So basically there are 4 stages to how Minecraft releases updates, because like any piece of software, at some point you need to decide that you're done adding features to something, so you can end up actually tweaking it, making sure that it's actually ready to ship. And so this is what Mojang have officially done here. In other words, they have the development versions, these turn into snapshots, then they go into pre-releases, which is when they try to finish adding features and just kind of round out the ones they have, and then when they think they're done with that, they do release candidates, and if those release candidates are good enough, then they become the full release itself. That is the 4 stages of a Minecraft update, and so if we're in pre-releases, that means that we're pretty close to the end of the update cycle, but it also usually means they won't be adding any more features before the release. This isn't something that is impossible to do. We've seen some features come in pre-release, but in this particular pre-releases case, they say they will be mostly seeing bug fixes and tweaks, and then the only features inside of it are a bunch of bug fixes. There are lots of odd ones to do with this update, like creaking struck by lightning were not showing visual fire before, and indeed stuff like baby piglins not being able to decide between crossbows and gold items, but the long story short of it is that they are doing bug fixes and will likely do so between now and the eventual release, and like they clarify, they will actually be happening multiple times a week. Snapshots are a 1 a week process unless there is a big error, but this is something that just kind of happens over and over and over again until the update is ready to go. And now usually at this point we would just have to make like some prediction about like, well, it could take anywhere from like 1 week to 5 weeks to go through pre-releases, but given that this is a smaller update, in fact it's called a game drop, it seems likely the process will be shorter, something which is backed up by the fact that the Bedrock update process has finished this part of it and is now working on the next update entirely. So 1.21.50 is the name of the winter drop on Bedrock, and the release candidate, the first one, released a couple of weeks ago, as you might know, and then they released another one just to kind of finalize some bugs, and there was one last preview that released on Tuesday specifically to fix platform-specific bugs for the PlayStation 4, very, very specific, but then after that they have now officially moved on to working on the beta and preview for 1.21.60. That's right, we have a preview for the next update, the one after the winter drop, and although this update is presumably coming out sometime in the early part of next year, we can see what the theme for this update is already based on the first preview, because it mostly seems to be about smaller tweaks, but there are 2 huge features inside of this, and let me show you around the update to show you what those are. This preview starts with an absolute bang because they've added the ability to pause the game in single-player worlds when entering the pause screen, a feature that can be turned on/off from the settings in the general section. I have no idea why you would want to have a single-player world and have your pause not actually pause the game, but now you can officially turn this off. I love that they've got this little thing saying, we'd love to know what you think of this edition, send us your feedback, because who's going to send any feedback besides yes, thank you, finally, after years there is finally a way to disconnect the server that is running internally on a single player world. And indeed the second thing that they bring out is kind of related to that too, because there is now a filter profanity toggle. We are introducing a filter profanity setting on Windows, and when on, all text content including chat will perform as it always has. Profanities will be filters for you and others, however you can turn it off, and it means that you can unfilter it for you in both the chat and on game signs. This is a big one in my opinion, because again, you might be playing a single player world and you might want to swear on your own signs, or put whatever ridiculous things you want on there. You can now officially turn this off, and I love that Bedrock is moving in this direction. This is the big kind of cornerstone of this preview. It mostly is there to bring a couple of well-wanted features, but there are also some very big features, both for creators and for vanilla parity, and to go through those as briefly as possible, because we could spend an entire video just talking about, hey, did you know they fixed various plant blocks rendering their faces differently to Java? I placed a bunch of these down just prior to the preview, and now I've loaded up the exact same world again, but after the brand new preview, and you tell me if you can spot any difference with these saplings, or any difference with any of the flowers or mushrooms or other things that officially were meant to have changed. I feel like I want to see a difference, but I couldn't tell you anything concrete. However, they have made some much more concrete changes with things like the sugarcane and lily pads having new hitboxes. I immediately didn't understand what this was, but these are two blocks I do care about dearly, so here are the changes as best I can tell, showing you before and after again. The lily pad used to have a flat hitbox, now it has a slight bit of 3D to it. This honestly seems like the worst version if I was to pick between Bedrock and Java. It makes sense that it should be more or less flat, not have this weird 2D height to it, but it does, and sugarcane has been changed in a way that again looks the same on the surface but has very subtly changed. It used to be that a sugarcane, when you were looking at the block, it would take up the entirety of the block as if it was a piece of grass or something, but now it takes up slightly less, and the benefit to this is you can target the block below it, say for pick blocking purposes, or you can break the block and the sugarcane at the same time. So that is a new change for Java parity. A similar change for Java parity is one they're introducing because of changes made literally in the winter drop but later on, and that is that if you dye two animals that have the or complementary colors in terms of their collars, or if it's sheep in terms of the wool, you'll now get a baby that matches the end result. I am surprised. I feel like this was brought into Bedrock first, so it's weird to see it on a Bedrock changelog, but it is officially on there. Things that aren't surprising to see on a Bedrock changelog, though, would probably have to be the fact that they've made some changes to the modding API, but they've also made changes to the add-ons and the scripting engine, and that seems to be one of the big priorities when Minecraft Java is going through its, few-week phase where they're just fixing bugs. Minecraft Bedrock has to have already done that, and so rather than doing nothing, which I don't know if that's ever been what they've been up to, they figured, why not go ahead and just actually do some of this stuff to do with creators and parity that otherwise they'd never get round to, and so Minecraft Bedrock will be closer to parity with Minecraft Java after this update. But indeed, that's the crucial question, isn't it? When will this update be coming out? And rather than getting ahead of ourselves to talk about 1.20, 1.60, let's instead answer the bigger question on your mind, because now we know that the Minecraft winter drop is finished. When will it be available, and why didn't they include a couple of the most popular suggestions? There are so many people right now who have been saying, wait, I was sure at the very last minute they were going to add white pumpkins. I was sure they would finally add this atmospheric fog to the biome. Why did they not go ahead and do these things? And I think the simple answer on that second one is a lot easier than the first question, because ultimately Mojang has been trying to listen to the community a lot more and take on a lot of feedback and take on as many good suggestions as they can, and that is why if you look at the feedback site, many of the top suggestions are ones they have taken from the feedback site. Indeed, the new dog variants has been on there forever. They took the armadillo, which I think would have been a meh mob at best, and they turned it into a mob with a lot of relevance by adding that single feature, and this is basically what Mojang are looking to do. They will add a feature if it makes sense to them. If you suggest something where they're like, oh, that was a really good idea, we should do that, then they'll go ahead of it. I don't like that the community is getting closer to a point where they say, no, Toycat, you don't understand. Every time we want a feature, if another of us want it, they should have to do it. But here's the thing, a lot of people rallied against the mob vote for reasons that I still don't think I fully understand, but a lot of people hated the mob vote, and so imagine a mob vote, but every single day there is another one, and also there are no options by Mojang. You get to write in your own choices. That is effectively what people want, and I think that even though democracy is very good for lots of things, I think that democracy for every single choice of every single game, every single time, is not actually the right answer. However, since you're here in a democratic video that you selected of your own right, I think it's important we answer the question that you probably still have, because you've learned what Mojang are working on now, the next update, you've learned what's going on with the pre-releases and how the update is fixed in time, and indeed why certain suggestions aren't in there. They didn't get around to them, or decided they weren't worthwhile, or decided to spend their time on something else. I think resin was much cooler than white pumpkins personally, but the answer to the question is still remaining for what is happening with the release date of this update. Well, we have an interesting little insight into that, because we can now say that it's almost certainly releasing in 2024. The update is only technically called the Winter Drop, and when they announced it, Lady Agnes just said it was coming in a few months. However, they almost certainly would not finish the preview process so far in advance of the full release. The same thing is true for pre-releases. It could take, in theory, 5 weeks to go through the pre-release process, but I think that we are getting very, very close to being able to narrow down the exact release date for this update, and I'll keep you posted on more, because I imagine that Minecraft might just be sharing that with us literally this week. Anyway, though, I am also going to be going through, in case they don't, the exact analysis of the exact day we should be expecting, but we can probably narrow it down to just a few few days in December now, which is very, very good news. And so if you're looking forward to the winter drop, it will be coming this winter of 2024, not the 2025 winter, which is great news. And that does also open the door for whatever drop they're going to be doing next. I am very curious about when that's being announced and more. But yeah, in the meantime, the big question is, will people like the winter drop? Will people appreciate getting effectively half the update in half the time? Or will people say, nope, this is just half an update, I don't care about the time, I wasn't paying attention to that anyway? These are the big questions I'm looking forward to seeing, and for now, I'm gonna go and eat my dinner. I've got some noodles, I've been very excited about them all day, and I hope that you enjoy yours if you're in a different time zone to me, whenever you next have it. You know, have a good dinner. That's the way we'll end this video today. Oh, and while I'm here anyway, I might as well plug my stream where I'll be working on a brand new project in the Let's Play world. I want to build a lava river. I think now is the time that it makes sense, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it, so join me over there. Or don't. It's your choice. Goodbye.